welcome to our English Learning Podcast. My name is Ella. I am your English teacher. I will speak slowly and clearly. This podcast is for beginners. If you are new to English, this podcast is for you. Today, we are going to talk about studying. We will learn how to talk about studying in simple English. We will use easy words. We will use short sentences. You do not need to speak. You do not need to answer questions. Just listen and relax. Now, let me introduce my student and friend. His name is Alex.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alex. I am learning English. I am happy to be here with you today.
Thank you, Alex. Alex is a student. He is learning English just like you. Today, Alex and I will talk about studying. We will talk about what studying means, where people study, what people study, and how people feel about studying. We will go step by step, slowly, calmly. Let's start with a simple question. What does studying mean? Studying means learning. Studying means reading, listening, writing, and practicing. When you study, you learn new things.
Yes, when I study, I learn new words. I learn new ideas.
Very good, Alex. In English, we say, I study English. I study math. I study history. Listen again. I study English. I study math. I study history. These are simple sentences. Now, let's listen to a small practice moment. You do not need to speak. Just listen. I study English. I study English every day. I like studying English. Good. Let's continue. Now, let's talk about places. Where do people study? People study in many places.
I study at school.
Yes, people study at school. People also study at home. People study in libraries. Listen to these sentences. I study at school. I study at home. I study in the library.
I study at home in the evening.
That's a very nice sentence. Let's slow it down. I study at home. I study in the evening. Now, a small listening practice. Just listen. I study at home. I study in the morning. I study in the evening. Very good. Next, let's talk about subjects. A subject is something you study. Examples of subjects are English, math, science, history.
I study English and science.
Great. In simple English, we say, I study English. I study math. We can also say, I study English at school. I study English at home. Listen carefully. I study English at home. Now, a calm practice moment. Just listen. I study English. I study English every day. I like studying English. Nice and easy. Now, let's talk about time. How often do we study? We can say every day, in the morning, in the evening.
I study English every day.
Perfect. Let's repeat slowly. Every day. I study every day. Listen to these sentences. I study in the morning. I study in the evening. I study every day. Take a deep breath. Relax. You are learning English right now. Now, let's talk about feelings. How do we feel about studying? We can say, I like studying. I love studying. Studying is interesting.
I like studying English. English is interesting.
Very nice. Listen again. I like studying English. English is interesting. Small listening practice. I like studying. Studying is good. Studying helps me learn. Good job. Now, let's review what we learned today. Today, we talked about studying. We learned how to say, I study English. I study at home. I study every day. I like studying English.
Yes, we used simple words, we used simple sentences.
That's right. Remember, studying is learning. Learning takes time, and you are doing great. Thank you for listening today. Take care, keep studying. See you in the next episode.
Goodbye, everyone. See you next time.
Welcome back. This is part 2 of our podcast. In part 1, we talked about studying. We talked about what studying means. We talked about where we study, and we talked about what we study. Now, in part 2, we will talk about study habits. A study habit is something you do again and again when you study. We will also talk about daily routines. A routine is something you do every day. Let's begin slowly. Many people have study habits. Some habits are good. Some habits are not so good. A good study habit is studying a little every day.
Yes, I study a little every day.
Very good. Listen to this sentence. I study a little every day. A little means not too much, just a small amount. Let's listen again. I study a little every day. Another good study habit is studying in a quiet place. A quiet place is a place with little noise.
I study in my room. It is quiet.
That is a good habit. Listen carefully. I study in a quiet place. Now, let's have a short listening practice. Just listen. No speaking is needed. I study every day. I study a little every day. I study in a quiet place. Good. Let's continue. Now, let's talk about daily routines. A daily routine is something you do every day. Many people study at the same time every day.
I study English in the evening.
That's great. Listen to these sentences. I study in the morning. I study in the afternoon. I study in the evening. We can also talk about time. We can say before work, after school.
I study English after work.
Very nice and clear. Listen again. I study English after work. Now take a moment. Relax. Just listen. I study English every day. I study English in the evening. I study English after work. You are doing well. Now, let's talk about study tools. Study tools help us learn. Some study tools are books, notebooks, a phone, a computer.
I use my phone to study English.
That's very common. Listen to this sentence. I use my phone to study English. We can also say, I use books to study. I use a computer to study. Just listen. Slow and easy. I use books to study. I use my phone to study English. I use my computer to study. Good job. Now, let's talk about feelings again. Studying can feel good, easy, difficult.
Sometimes studying is difficult, but I like it.
That's very honest, and that's okay. Listen carefully. Studying is difficult sometimes. Studying is good for me. Let's review part 2. Today, we talked about study habits, daily routines, study tools, and feelings. We learned how to say, I study a little every day. I study in a quiet place. I study English in the evening. I use my phone to study English.
Yes, simple sentences. Easy English.
Exactly. Thank you for listening to part 2. Take a short break if you need. When you're ready, we will continue. See you in part 3.
Goodbye for now.
Welcome back. This is part 3 of our podcast. In part 2, we talked about study habits. We talked about daily routines. We talked about study tools and feelings. Now, in part 3, we will talk about different subjects. We will also talk about study skills. Let's begin slowly. People study many subjects. A subject is something you learn about. Some common subjects are English, math, science, history.
I study English and history.
Very good. Listen carefully. I study English. I study history. We can also say, I study English at school. I study history at home. When we study a language, we learn skills. A skill is something you can do. In English, we have 4 main skills: listening, speaking, reading, writing.
I practice listening and reading.
Excellent. Listen again slowly. I practice listening. I practice reading. We can also say, I practice speaking. I practice writing. Now, let's have a short listening practice. Just listen. I practice listening every day. I practice reading at home. I practice writing in my notebook. Good. Take a breath. Different subjects need different study ways. For English, people listen and read. For math, people practice problems. For history, people read and remember.
Yes, I read books for history.
That's right. Listen carefully. I read books for history. I practice problems for math. Now, let's talk about how people study. Some people study alone. Some people study with others.
I usually study alone.
That's very common. Listen to these sentences. I study alone. I study with friends. Both are okay. Now, relax. Just listen. I study English alone. I study at home. I practice listening every day. You are doing very well. Now, let's talk about progress. Progress means getting better. We can say, I am learning. I am improving.
I am improving my English.
Wonderful. Listen again. I am learning English. I am improving every day. Just listen. I am learning English. I am improving slowly. Slow progress is good progress. Let's review part 3. Today, we talked about different subjects, language skills, study methods, and progress. We learned how to say, I study English and history. I practice listening and reading. I study alone. I am improving my English.
Yes, simple and clear English.
Exactly. Thank you for listening to part 3. Take your time. When you are ready, we will continue. See you in part 4.
Goodbye, everyone.
Welcome back. This is part 4 of our podcast. In part 3, we talked about subjects and skills. We talked about studying alone and with others. We also talked about progress. Now, in part 4, we will talk about study goals. We will also talk about motivation and challenges. Let's begin slowly and calmly. A goal is something you want to do. A study goal is something you want to learn. Some study goals are simple. Some study goals are big.
My goal is to improve my English.
That is a very good goal. Listen carefully. My goal is to improve my English. We can also say, I want to learn English. I want to speak English well. It is good to have simple goals. Simple goals can be learn new words, practice every day, study for 10 minutes.
I want to learn new English words.
Very nice. Listen again. I want to learn new words. Now, let's listen quietly. I want to learn English. My goal is to improve. I study a little every day. Good. Let's continue. Now, let's talk about motivation. Motivation is the reason you study. People study for many reasons. Some people study for work, some people study for school, some people study for fun.
I study English for work and for fun.
That's great. Listen carefully. I study English for work. I study English for fun. Sometimes motivation is strong. Sometimes motivation is low. This is normal. To stay motivated, people can study a little every day, use easy materials, take short breaks.
I take short breaks when I study.
That is a good idea. Listen again. I take short breaks. Now, let's talk about challenges. A challenge is something difficult. Studying can be difficult sometimes.
Yes, sometimes English is difficult for me.
That is okay. Everyone feels this way sometimes. Listen carefully. Studying is difficult sometimes. I keep learning. Now, relax. Just listen. English is difficult sometimes. I study slowly. I do not give up. You are doing well. When studying is difficult, people can ask for help. We can say, I need help. I ask my teacher. I learn from videos. I learn from videos and podcasts.
I learn from videos and podcasts.
That's wonderful. Listen again. I learn from podcasts. Let's review part 4. Today, we talked about study goals, motivation, challenges, and asking for help. We learned how to say, my goal is to improve my English. I study English for work. Studying is difficult sometimes. I do not give up.
Yes, learning takes time.
Exactly. Thank you for listening to part 4. Take a breath. When you are ready, we will continue. See you in part 5.
Goodbye for now.
Welcome back. This is part 5 of our podcast. In part 4, we talked about goals and motivation. We talked about challenges and asking for help. Now, in part 5, we will talk about exams, practice, and study progress. Let's begin slowly. Many students take exams. An exam is a test. Exams can feel difficult. Exams can feel stressful.
Yes, I have an English exam.
Thank you, Alex. Listen carefully. I have an exam. I have an English exam. We can also say, I study for an exam. When people study for an exam, they practice. They read. They listen. They review.
I study every day for my exam.
Very good. Listen again. I study for my exam. I practice every day. Now take a moment. Just listen. I study for my exam. I practice a little every day. I review my lessons. Good. Relax. Practice is very important. Practice helps us learn. When we practice, we get better.
I practice listening and reading.
That's excellent. Listen carefully. I practice every day. Practice helps me improve. Now let's talk about progress again. We can say, I am improving. I am getting better.
I am getting better at English.
Yes, you are. Listen again. I am getting better. Just listen. Slow and calm. I practice every day. I am improving slowly. I am getting better. You are doing well. Now let's talk about feelings. People can feel nervous about exams. People can also feel ready.
I feel a little nervous, but I feel ready.
That's very normal. Listen carefully. I feel nervous. I feel ready. To stay calm, people can study a little every day, take breaks, sleep well.
I try to stay calm.
That's good. Listen again. I stay calm. Let's review part 5. Today, we talked about exams, practice, progress, and feelings. We learned how to say, I have an exam. I study for my exam. I practice every day. I am getting better.
Yes, practice helps.
Exactly. Thank you for listening to part 5. Take your time. When you are ready, we will continue. See you in part 6.
Goodbye, everyone.
Welcome back. This is part 6. This is the final part of our podcast. Take a deep breath. Relax. You have done very well. In this part, we will review everything. We will also talk about confidence. And we will end calmly. First, let's review some important words. Listen carefully. Study, learn, practice, review. These words are very important.
Yes, I study. I learn English. I practice every day.
Excellent. Now, let's listen to simple sentences. Just listen. I study English. I study at home. I study every day. These are strong sentences. Good study habits help us learn. Listen again. I study a little every day. I study in a quiet place. I take short breaks.
These habits help me learn.
Yes, they do. Studying is not always easy. Sometimes it is difficult. Sometimes it is fun. Listen carefully. Studying is difficult sometimes. That is okay.
I do not give up.
That is very important. Now, let's talk about confidence. Confidence means believing in yourself. When you study, you grow. When you practice, you improve. Listen slowly. I am learning. I am improving. I am getting better. Now, just listen. Slow and calm. I am learning English. I study every day. I am getting better. You are doing great. Let's review everything one last time. We learned how to say, I study English. I study at home. I practice every day. My goal is to improve my English. Studying is difficult sometimes, but I do not give up.
Yes, these sentences are simple and useful.
Exactly. Learning English takes time. Slow learning is good learning. You do not need to hurry. You just need to continue. Thank you for studying with us. Thank you for listening. This is the end of our podcast. Take care. Keep studying.
Goodbye, everyone. Keep learning.